Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where today we're going to be looking at Lukka's perspective as he goes into this whole deal. And oh my gosh, Lukka, let me just say, Lukka is a special guy. He has basically been used as an almost really cool character twice already. On Ikoria, he had a really complex setup.
But then the story was about Urena. And then we went over Strixhaven.
Yeah, and
then
he
was almost a Death Eater.
Yeah, he was almost really cool, and then he just kind of gives up.
And it's like, you're the leader of the Death Eaters. Okay, I'm gonna leave off screen eventually, but yeah, I guess I'm not.
Yeah, so essentially, he's an expert tactician, which is why Jace hired him for the job. Jace specifically contacted Lukka. He's like, you are a military genius. You have experience with this. You're going to be great when it comes to coming up with the tactics to be able to deal with things. The problem is that Lukka makes really bad personal decisions.
Same.
Boy. So Lukka winds up going, and he gets hit by this wave, and when he lands, this is how it describes the place he's in. A green light lingering in the murky canopy, the rank taste of rotten flesh on the air, the metallic screeches of unseen beasts, the squelch underfoot of the sodden sphagnum.
Oh, he's on the Hunter's Maze. I mean, you can tell us, continue about...
Yeah, he's in the Hunter's Maze.
Really? Whoa!
The Hunter's Maze is the green sphere of Phyrexia. In the previous story, we didn't cover it because it felt like it would make more sense to talk about here. Nahiri and Malira are talking about the different spheres of Phyrexia.
Nahiri and Malira are talking about, let me heal you!
Well, they were saying the three main ones you need to avoid going to, or the two main ones you need to avoid going to, are the blue sphere and the green sphere. Because the blue sphere is like, there's just tendrils everywhere. Jinkatax controls it, sees everything. You immediately get picked up on, and then you'll be out. You're taken down. In the green sphere, you don't want to go there because everything wants to kill you, and like things will just fuse with you and kill you like that.
It's true. So I've heard.
So you've
not
heard.
Personally,
right?
Like I read about it.
Read about it. Who wrote about that?
Did you?
No.
Are you sure?
Anyways, so basically what happens is that Lukka goes into this whole deal, and he meets up with Nisa, of all characters. And Nisa's here, and we have to remember that Nisa doesn't know how to talk to people, because she kind of is like really socially awkward. She kind of just like looks at people and gives stares without ever saying. It's part of the reason why Chandra, retroactively after they decided that Forsaken was a Forsaken novel, they decided to go with this is an actual relationship, and Nisa's just really bad at expressing her emotions, while Chandra's way too good at expressing hers.
So they they did away with Forsaken? Or they've just been retconning it?
It's been slowly retconned. The only thing is that Dovin Bond seems to still be dead, sadly. Because this would have been the time they would have revealed Dovin Bond to be alive if he were still alive. Now, with that all said...
That's true. It's like, what do you have to gain from being completed? My eyes!
All of them! Honestly, I think Dovin would have been really good for Phyrexia. Specifically because they decided for Jinkataxis as Phyrexians. Eyes was the main thing they have. They get all these tentacle eyes. So imagine Dovin, but his hands are eyes. He's still blind, but he can just kind of go like that and he can see everything. I think that's a cool idea. But you know what? It doesn't matter what I think.
It's true. Your thoughts are meaningless. The only thing that means something is Phyrexia.
You know, Joe, you're saying a lot of weird stuff this session.
We're talking about Phyrexia. We have to get into it. You have to really get into it. You have to get so into Phyrexia. Become one with it.
Well, let's get to the story. So basically, Lukka's going around and he sees this giant Phyrexian beast, and he's like, "That looks big. I'm gonna bond with it."
Bonders are so weird.
It's like,
I'm glad we don't have more Bonder planeswalkers in, because it's just a weird concept to me. Just like, I'm gonna wrestle with it.
Yeah, that's what happens. Lukka sees it and he's like, "That's a big boy. It's mine now." And the way it describes him doing it is very forceful. He says what he intends to do is he reaches out with his mind to just kind of grab it and take hold of it and just wrest control from it. But when he does that, he says the mind feels slick and oily, and that it gives in to his touch. Like it's willing to let him grasp his mind. And Lukka thinks, this is good. This is normal. And so that's what happens.
Lukka thinks.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he does that and he takes control of it and he goes, okay, tell me how to get out of here.
I forgot we did the Ikoria story for the legendary lore.
Yeah.
Truly a low point of legendary lore.
I mean, Zendikar is pretty bad too. Some of these stories.
We didn't do that one completely though. We just did that from Jace's point of view for the Jace legendary lore.
There've been some really bad stories, and we just try to make them sound better.
Which it's a good thing we have Jace lore on record in case anything happens to him.
Yeah, but right here, this is a really fun one because you see, Lukka, he goes into this whole deal. And he bonds with the creature, and he tells, okay, creature, tell me how to get out. And so he just starts following it, and that's when he runs into Nissa. And Nissa, the two of them are just work together. She's like, I don't trust this giant Phyrexian thing. We know they're dangerous. Why are you touching it? Like, he's riding the creature.
This is Snuffle. No, Snuffles was his slave name. His slave name. This is Snowball.
Snowball. And so while that's happening, the Wanderer pops in and just starts fighting off Phyrexians for them. And looks at the fact that Lukka's on the Phyrexian and is like, what are you doing? And so basically, as the story progresses, and Wanderer pops back out. Nissa and Lukka, they're going on their way. And at one point, the Phyrexians are coming. And it's funny because Lukka, he sends his mental ideas to the creature, right? Uh-huh. And tells it, okay, you need to do this. You need to help me, stuff like that, right? And so, as it goes along, they get into this power, this power struggle, and Lukka goes, protect me, to come to me. And the creature, protecting him, sends out these tendrils that shoot through his back, out of his body, into his arms, through his neck, all throughout him. And it pulls him in, and he's able to basically mecha fight with the creature. And he does it to save Nissa. And Nissa looks at him like, what are you doing?
Bonding?
It's because basically the way the mental command was essentially lend me your strength. Uh-huh. And so that's what it did. Because Phyrexians...
Just here, you do it.
Yeah, because the thing about Phyrexians is they all take things literally. They don't have figurative language. Mm-hmm. So as a result, when it was told to help him, it helped him the only way it knew how to help him.
By completing him. The best way to help somebody.
Well, it didn't complete him yet. Because he tells it, let go, and it lets go. It pulls out of him, and he checks, and he's like, wow, there's no wounds or anything. Which is really weird. And he shows Nissa, he's like, look, I'm okay. And so she's like, I don't trust this. I don't like this. This is bad. But you know what she does instead of saying those things? She's really bad at communicating. So, as they're going through the Hunter's Maze, he starts going through they start traveling through it, right? And they change their course. And they seem to be going down. Which Nissa thinks is really weird because they're supposed to be going up. And so she has to get on top of the creature too. And she's just sitting on top of it. And she's like, I don't trust this thing at all. I hate everything about this. I don't like any of this. And as they're going, there's these flashes of power and these thoughts into Lukka's mind of imagine the power that you could have if you were to just join with this thing. And also the actual word he had used was secure me. Just so it's clear. Secure me. Make me safe. Not secure me inside of you. But that's how the creature understood it. And so basically what's happening is that the longer he's bonded with the creature, the more Phyrexian thoughts are creeping into his mind. And he's already been impaled, essentially, with a Phyrexian injection. He doesn't think it, or realize it, or know it, but he's already turning. And the thing is, like we said, this is some fast-acting oil. It says the idea of completion, but not necessarily that concept. There was a whole video talking about the actual process of completion. It's horrifying, and it's terrible. So,
Lukka's decently strong, too.
It's true.
He fought Kasmina.
He did fight Kasmina. He fought her, and she ran away. But now we have this Phyrexian thing. He first was the Phyrexian centaur. And so as they're going through, they realize that they're getting really close to what looks like the Hunter's Maze's center, which is where Vorinclex lives.
Oh, yay!
And they're getting closer, and Nissa's like, this is the wrong location. Why are we here? And
So did they give Nisa social anxiety to also retcon her elf supremacy?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like, no, she doesn't hate you because you're not an elf. She hates you because she doesn't know how to talk to you.
Exactly. That is the basic idea.
Okay.
And so Nissa's here, she's freaking out, and the Wanderer shows up and is like, why are you guys here? And he's like, because we were trying to go to the center. And Nissa's like, that was never our plan. Why do you think that's what we wanted to do?
And then why are we here?
Yeah, basically Lukka didn't realize that his mind had changed about where he wanted to go.
Huh.
Weird, right? But yeah, essentially he's like, I wanted to go fight Vorinclex. And Wanderer's like, that's a pretty good idea. If you can kill Vorinclex, then that means we can destabilize this area. There'll probably be a huge vacuum and we won't have to worry about this whole sphere. Now, at this time, Lukka, when nobody's watching, he reaches to check his wounds, or where his wounds should be, and there's these tentacles. These little polyps, like suction, like little anemones, on his, like, all throughout his body. And he's like
in The Last of Us.
He's like, those should not be there. And so he kind of ignores it, and they get further and further, and they get to the actual thing. And once they're in, like, Vorinclex's stadium, essentially, there's a bunch of Phyrexians watching Glisa fight Vorinclex. And they're just having a ton of fun. And Lukka is looking at this, and he's thinking, that is so cool! Look at those two! Those perfect beings in perfect combat. I want to fight them. And so Lukka's like, okay. And the Wanderer, she like disappears. Wanderer's trying to help them, obviously, right? And it's
just like, stop doing what you're doing.
And so basically what happens is that again, Lukka considers the Phyrexian monster next to him an ally. It hasn't fused with him yet, but he knows.
But he's bonded with it.
Well, that's what he does next. He says, join me. And so the thing literally just... well, I'll just read what it says. He used his Eludha. Eludha is the term they use, the magic that he uses to bond. Uh-huh. His Phyrexian ally rushed into the fight. Join me, he told it, craving its power. By this point, they've already started fighting them. Nisa's fighting Vorinclex. He's fighting Glisa. Okay? He says, join me, he told it, craving its power, its strength. The Phyrexian flowed into him, its tendrils writhed into his bodies. The rootlets inside him sprung out to meet it. He could feel the Phyrexian move into him and then become him. His skin split like it was overripe, more than ready for this change. His body folded outward like a blossoming flower, his ribs opening as the Phyrexian lodged itself inside him, its arms becoming his arms. It was ready to serve him until the end, to lose its life to save him. Such loyalty, it was his, obedient and submissive in every way. His spine became its spine, and he stood now upon its legs. He had his arms still, sharper and defter, but the Phyrexian's arms now formed a second set of arms with a greater reach. He'd always felt like his weapon was part of him. Now it was.
That's cool.
So yeah, basically in the heat of battle, he's like, I want to become Phyrexian! And so he does.
It's like in a game where you have, a summon, and then you unlock the part where you can become one with the summon.
Essentially. Except this is a Phyrexian.
Yeah, same thing.
And so yeah, basically he's just like, make me strong. Phyrexian goes inside of him and he's like, I'm strong. And he starts fighting Glisa. At the same time this happens, Vorinclex is like, you know what, forget this. Glisa, Lukka, kill Nisa. And Lukka's like, okay. Because he's a Phyrexian.
Nisa's like, when did you start answering to him? I've always answered to him.
Like, that's the thing, is like, Lukka was so dumb. He has been so dumb this entire time. And the dumb thing is that whoever allies with him is essentially doomed to fail. He is bonded to ruin. He is like he worked with the humans on Ikoria. They started to mess up. He started working with the monsters on Ikoria. They started to mess up. He worked with the bad guys on Ixalan. In Strixhaven. They started to mess up.
That's true. Extus did fail.
Yes.
Rather inexplicably for how they built him up.
Yes. Yes. The Planeswalkers? Spoilers.
Yes.
So yeah, Lukka's the first planeswalker to get completed, and it happens in the span of like 5 minutes because he doesn't know how to control himself or the Phyrexian monster. And so Wanderer pops back in and she's like, whoa, that's bad. And she's like, Nissa, run. And so she fights off Lukka and Glisa and Vorinclex.
Because Wanderer is really strong.
Yes. And Nissa runs away deeper into the forest. And then Wanderer poofs out of existence. And they continue to chase after Nissa. That's how this story ends.
Nissa only made it out of there right now because Wanderer became her dearest friend.
Yes. But yeah, that's essentially what happens in this story. This was actually a side story. This isn't even part of the main storyline.
This is actually one of the more exciting stories.
It was a pretty good story.
I liked this one.
But this was also the first time we saw somebody fully completed.
That is exciting.
Right.
And necessary.